Hey, everybody, this is the solo episode of Sako's Arrival. I put the part where she makes her character at the back in case that part isn't as exciting. So we'll just get right into her solo adventure. And then if you're interested in the nuts and bolts, mechanics and stuff, I'll put that at the back after the song. So hope you enjoy this. We love you. Bye-bye. Welcome back to Shattered Worlds RPG. I'm your Loremaster, Jeff, and today we're going to be doing a one-on-one with Sako Tumi. Sako, why don't you say hi and tell us a little bit about you?
Howdy, neighbors. I'm Sako Tumi, and I am all over the internet as either Sako Tumi or Psycho Sako.
And the careful listener would have heard you over on our D&D side quest, Return of the Defiler.
Absolutely.
Playing
Isolde. Yeah.
Eric's daughter?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool. And she just double-crossed us. Spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers. She wasn't evil.
Everybody always has their reasons for pulling shenanigans.
Everybody has their reasons. Absolutely. She had her motivations.
So, tell the listener how much experience you have with tabletop role-playing games.
Oh, great. I actually just wrote my credentials this morning. I'll read it out loud. I am a second generation dork. My parents met playing first edition D&D. I learned to read so that I could play BattleTech by snail mail. I first played D&D at the age of 7 and GM'd my first game in 5th grade. I never took a break, and now at 40, my gaming habit occupies enough time to count as a part-time job. It occurs to me that the lion's share of my free time goes to a hobby that I refuse to monetize. So if you'd like to see what I'm doing these days, I actually storytell a Mage the Ascension podcast called As Luck Would Have It on YouTube. Episodes go up Thursdays at 2:30. I have a whole playlist. And you can find me here.
Well, welcome. I'm glad you're here. That's cool that you've got so much experience. It definitely shows. You can definitely hear it on our Return of the Defiler game. Yeah, it's fun to play with people with tons of experience because they don't do what you would expect, like, a young player to do.
Yeah.
Young to the game. Like,
young
people
to the
come
game.
To it at all ages. That was cool to hear that your parents played first edition. That's rad. Mine were squares.
Actually, the only way that I keep in contact with my mom these days is because we play in a D&D game online like every other week.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, it brings people together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, spend a certain amount of time together. And the other question I like to ask is, what's your experience with podcasting? I mean, you basically told us what you're doing now.
Once upon a time ago, in like 2015 or so, I had a podcast. I think it's still on the internet somewhere, called The Duchy of Dork. And my bestie and I would get together and talk about geeky things, and she was the Duchess and I was the Daimyo, and we talked about like cosplay and weddings, and then cosplay weddings was one episode, so that was fun. And I do that Mage the Ascension podcast. It's a game actually, which is tons of fun.
Wait, are you saying you do an actual play stream?
Mm-hmm, I sure do.
That's cool.
We don't stream it. We record it ahead of time. I take out the
Cool.
silences because, we roll online and there's
so you do video editing.
Mm-hmm. And
That's
audio
cool.
editing. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it stands to reason. Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's really cool. I love talking to podcasters.
Woo.
And it makes our job role playing that much easier.
It really does. And it makes it easier to share what we do. You know what I mean? Collaborative storytelling, and we facilitate, as podcasters, we facilitate that connection between the audience and the live play.
Yeah. So, how would you describe the difference between like your experience role playing before you recorded it and after?
Actually, I find it I could do it online or I can do it offline. Like, it doesn't feel very different to me. I think it's more of an impact on my players because when they are recorded, they feel like they have to act a certain way. And I want to reassure them that they can just be themselves and play the character how they want to play the character and not just have this nervous tick in the back of their heads that makes them talk over each other and makes them stammer and ums and uhs and stuff like that, right? So that is the difference, is teaching my players to speak in a way that isn't hazardous to the content. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, as much as we can make this like feel natural, then editing is easy because you're just like clipping silences and I don't know,
clipping
maybe silences up a joke.
And tidying up ums and uhs,
Yeah, those fuckers. I get so sick of them sometimes. I leave most of them in, but sometimes people.
If it is dialogue of a character, I will not edit it out.
Yeah.
But if it's commentary from the player, then I'll edit it out.
Yeah. I think most of what it is people, it's basically saying, I'm still talking, give me a second. I think that's what it mostly does. And so if you've done this for a while,
and you fill it with words,
you learn that you can take up space and people can respect that. You know what I mean? Once they learn your cadence. Right.
I have actually taught my roommate, who talks very fast and she talks a lot, and she has learned that she will, I as you can tell, I have pauses in the way that I speak because I think 3 times before I say anything. And there are times where I will have a pause in mid-sentence, and she has learned to wait for me to finish my thought.
It's very nice.
So there are times where I will edit out my own silences so that it is a little more fluid.
With my last podcast co-host on Everything is Awesome, at one point she was like, why do you take such big breaks between saying things? And I was like, I didn't used to. You would have hated me. But I learned at a certain point that just to count seconds after people talk or after I talk, because there's a comfortable point at which some people won't talk. And so giving them plenty of time, I think, is useful.
Roger that. I sometimes will leave 2 seconds of silence in between statements, so that it has more of a natural flow and doesn't sound like someone who is just talking without taking a breath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to take those breaths. You'll pass out.
Burn purple.
Well, for our role players, yes, it's a good thing to remember that you don't have to do it like we do it. You'll do it exactly how you and your people do it.
Just be yourself.
Yeah.
And that's really the moral of this story, is relax. Relax. You don't have to know all the rules to the game. You can relax. The GM will carry you. It's all right. Be yourself.
Hell yeah. Or do a funny voice,
Or do a funny voice. However you want to portray the character, right? Yeah. So try to make the character as genuine as possible.
Oh, with sort of motivations that make sense.
With motivations that make sense and backstories that make sense, and hopefully your experience will overshadow any anxiety you might have.
Yeah. Well, on that note, let's jump right in. Sako's going to join us over on the main campaign, and she is going to play a monk. We haven't had one of those in a while, so tell us. Well, I guess Anthony is technically a monk, but we haven't had a Vorakh monk, which I'm excited about.
I am a bit of a tank.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. So, yeah, you're making a Vorakh monk, and her name is
Tiny Tina.
Tiny Tina. Good deal. Sako has no real context for where the players are right now.
Exactly.
So I'll give a little bit of background. There's this planet, just had no name, was just some dot in the far distant space, and some colonists landed there, and because they were mostly Yefrit, Vorakhs, and Zentridi, they sort of mashed the names of their planets together and called it Vorakh. So it's a big continent, sort of like maybe Australia, except in the beginning, it's not just in the middle. It's not a big desert. It's more like mountains and thick jungle, lakes, stuff like that. And the edges are more kind of deserty. And then it just drops off everywhere where there would be an ocean coast. There's just vast, like Mars-like craters and canyons and whatnot where there should be water. And the only reason there is water here is because of these giant generator towers kind of that ring the continent that sort of do some sciencey shit to keep all the water and nutrients and everything on the continent instead of spilling out to the rest of the planet. So it also eases out the weather and stuff. It's this fantastic innovation that these people created. So they were there for about, I want to say, 12 years or so. And then the war happened, which basically made it impossible to get around because fuel was tight and was used by the militaries.
Resources, etc. Yeah.
Yeah, so this colony was essentially just abandoned by the rest of the galaxy. They're called the Galactic Conclave. And so 28 years later, some heroes have landed and are getting up to their shenanigans. Meanwhile, on the eastern side of the continent, your group, the Metal Gang, they're on the western side. They joined up with the main colony. And your group is sort of a breakaway Vorakhi group that wanted to focus on rebuilding the machines and getting getting a ship together to leave the planet and fix communications. And so their entire operation is sort of focused on work, whereas the colonists are more like easy breezy, you know, they want to just kind of wait for the rest of the galaxy to return and say hi. And the Metal Gang, I think the ruler is named Jura Okine, but let me check my notes here. Anyway, your charismatic leader sort of put together this group. They're called the Metal Squad. They protect their territory with drones, battle mechs, artillery, and rockets. They spend most of their time searching through old tunnels to find gear and fixing up old stuff they find on the ships that brought the generator towers. Their base is in the old foundry and shipworks. They have one working flyer and are working on a starship, the High Point, one of 3 colony ships that needs B fuel to fly. And B fuel is like the rare fuel that runs all the faster than light ships. And the precursors are only on a few planets or asteroids. So they don't have access to any of that stuff. So they've used up most of it. And they use the rest to like charge batteries that the colony runs on. So the leader of the squad is a big dude named Jura. He's got like a fake wig because Vorakh don't grow hair, so he has this fake black wig,
Right.
and wears makeup and a fancy soul speaker robe. Those are kind of religious leaders from your home world. He has a cane and a heavy pistol. He's very nice and cultured. He's addicted to a local drug called Dream Salt. So maybe Dream Salt is one of the things you courier from this these deep rangers back to the town.
Sure.
So Okine wants to get his people off world, and he's pretty brutal about it. He's led some violent reprisals on the other factions to protect your borders. And then now we get to invent the people that live outside the area. So I came up with a little something about the monastic order that you joined. So it's called the Order of Earth and Fire. They call their little abbey Sun Mountain. And it's a pretty standard kind of monastery where they they make beer and shit like that. So they're not super tech heavy, although they have a lot of people who can repair things. So they do that stuff. And any money they get goes back into their I don't know, improving the monastery or whatever. And unbeknownst to the rest of the Metal Squad, they created their own sort of deep rangers that go underground to find if there's any sign of ancient technology on this planet, which pretty much every planet that has human life on it, they've found these ancient secret tech and, I don't know, remarkably huge underground caverns and things like that were clearly hollowed out by some precursor civilization. And so maybe you were one of them, and you got disillusioned for whatever reason, and
Sure.
now you're out. Now you're out in the woods waiting to meet your contact. So let's say there's like a lean-to, with like some corrugated plastic above a couple of poles, and you're standing under there like waiting for Deep Ranger Cloud Mist to show up. How do you pass your time, like when it's just you?
Probably smoking.
Cool, like some hand-rolled cigarettes, that kind of thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a ritual for smokers a lot of time in that
Yeah.
if they're waiting on someone or they're waiting on something to happen, then they will spark up a cigarette. And usually either as soon as you spark it up or as soon as you finish, the thing is summoned and the person or event has occurred.
That's great.
That would totally be her policy. Absolutely.
Cool. So yeah, you're puffing away, and you see this trail is barely like bushwhacked, so like the jungle just looms over and beside the trail, and you hear some motion that sounds kind of like the local jungle cat, which I don't have its name in front of me, but let me pull it up. Creatures. It sounds like a halfkin, which is a sort of human-animal hybrid abomination, which most assuredly was created by the original people that left all this tech here.
Mm.
So yeah, you're like all tense as this thing starts coming through the woods. And then you see this deep ranger. They have like gray cloaks and just gray clothes all over. And they wear goggles, and they usually have bags full of junk. And he's like scuttling through the woods on his belly, trying to be as quiet as he can. And he looks over at you like from 30 feet away, and he goes, he starts to slowly get up, and he says, "Are you Tina?"
Who's asking?
And he gets up to his full height, and his head kind of scrubs the top of the jungle. And he says, "Deep Ranger Cloud Mist. That's my name. I've been out here 3 weeks. You're my first sight of human eyes."
If you want to call me human.
All right. He says, "Can I bum one of those?"
Absolutely. And so she hand rolls. She kind of pulls out a little baggie and hand rolls a cigarette for him and hands it to him, and holds the lighter out for him.
Cool. He does his thing, and he holds it away from his body when he's not puffing on it for some reason.
Makes sense. You don't want to smell like that stuff.
Yeah.
Especially traipsing through the
wilderness,
through the jungle. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he pulls out a flask and hands it to you.
She sniffs it.
Yeah, it smells like whiskey. Space whiskey.
Yep, takes a sip of the space whiskey.
Cool, and it is super smooth and like flavorful. And you've never had this. I don't know.
This is nice.
Batch person, made by a whiskey maker. What are those guys called? Distillers. Yeah, you've never had this before, and so you're wondering where it's from.
Did you make this yourself?
No, ma'am. I ran into a couple colonists on a scavenging team, and I traded a few magazines and got this.
Good trade.
Oh yeah. Well, see, they're used to the old 12 shell configuration, but back a couple of years back, Red made the 14 round clip, and so of course they were willing to part with this delicious whiskey. Fair trade.
Good on you.
That's
a good contact.
They just throw these things away. It's like free money.
Ooh.
And,
don't say that.
The Metal Squad is supposed to keep track of all their weapons and ammunition, but clearly somebody's Somebody's letting things slide.
slacking at their job. Yeah. So, about this gig.
Oh, yeah, this is a weird one. We got sight of some activity down the south and west, in that gray zone between the Jaguars and the Colony
Okay.
around Generator Tower 9. So the generator towers are sort of in a vague circle with 12 at the top and, like a clock. And so 9 is like on the western side of the continent. And, yeah, he said there was some activity there. So we sent up a couple drones and it looks like whoever they were got connected with the Colony. So, Raina, who is she's the head of the Deep Rangers, she thought it might be a good idea to send a few folks out that way and see what's going on.
And I might be one of these guys?
Yeah, we're sending out singles because she doesn't want to break up our teams. And she needs me back. So she told me to find a backup. So that's you.
Okay.
So you could buy your way back in to the Colony. Get yourself a flat. We're looking at 10 bars of minted tin. That's like your, I don't know, $100 bill.
Mm-hmm. Works for me.
So yeah, with that kind of money, you could live in the in the compound for like a year without having to work for more than your food and entertainment.
Right on.
So yeah, he says, so I mean, anytime you want to head west, I'll fix you up with a adventuring kit here for long range trips. And one of the sacks he brings over, you realize, is all like neatly packed with individual like bags and things. So it's easy to get whatever you're looking for quickly. And a lot of this stuff is like super small, like a tent that blows up real fast.
Packs down really. Yeah. And then it pops up.
You got a nanofiber fishing pole, what have you.
Wow. I wasn't expecting anything like this. This is great.
Yeah.
This is great. Thank you for this.
Of course, yeah.
Now I won't die in the middle of the jungle.
Yeah, we can't have that. Well, it's been nice talking to you. Your orders are in the bag there. And the drone will follow you for about 30 miles, but it'll turn back.
Nice.
It'll turn back once you hit the river, which you all call the Crosscut River.
Ah.
It's sort of the dividing line between Colony territory and the Metal Squad, with a whole bunch of super dense jungle in between. So yeah, it's going to be hard for, like, you're going to be creating your own trails and stuff. So yeah, there's a machete in there.
Sweet. I was going to ask.
There's a laser cutter if you have to cut through logs.
Totally.
But it has limited battery life. You'll have an emergency beacon. You have a small bomb. It just needs to be set, from a 5 to a 50-second fuse. Or you can set it on proximity, like 10 feet maybe.
Nice.
Yeah, it's basically like a frag grenade, but a tiny little disc.
Sweet.
Yeah, I think that'll do it. There's some rope, a grapple. So yeah, so you head west. Oh, do you want to say anything to this guy before you leave?
Safe journey. Keep the cigarette.
Ah, thanks. It's gone. He tries to puff on it and it falls apart. Cool. All right. Good hunting. So you head west, and yeah, it takes you pretty much the whole day and night to actually, would you travel at night? I don't know how safe it is to go through the jungle at night.
No.
So we'll say the rest of the day you get about halfway to the river, and then sorry?
Put up a tent and...
Oh, I get to use the random events table.
Oh, sweet.
Hell yeah. Okay, so this is you on your first day. 69. Nice.
The 13-year-old in me is amused.
Cool. So at a certain point, the jungle just kind of drops away. It's a sort of a gully. It's not on your map. And so you'd have to kind of go off trail, kind of south-southwest or north-northeast to try to maybe get around it. Or you could work your way across it. It looks like the other side isn't quite as steep, whereas this side is pretty damn steep.
How much longer will it take to go around?
It's not on your map, so you don't know.
Oh. Then I'm going to go through it.
All right. How do you get down?
I am 8 feet, so how deep is the drop?
We'll say 50 feet.
Throw my stuff down there first.
All right.
I climb down.
Are you going freehand or are you going to do the rope thing?
I'm going freehand.
All right. So our first roll, it's going to be a climbing check, which I believe is earth. Yeah. So this will be an earth check. You got to get a 15 or higher.
All right. What am I rolling? D6s? D20s?
D10. Roll a D10.
Okay.
And then you'll add your attribute, which is a 10.
Mm-hmm.
And your roll. And you don't have a specific skill, so it's just flat.
All right. That's a 15.
So you need to get a 5 or higher on the die.
Yep. I got a 5 on the die.
Hell yeah. All right. You work your way down safely and you get to the bottom.
My knuckles might be bleeding, but, like, I make it in one piece, which is the important part.
Hell yeah. So here at the bottom, it's really muddy and just kind of gross. A lot of slippery rocks.
Oh.
But except for the mud, you can probably get up the other side easily.
Except for the mud.
Yeah, it's just really muddy on the opposite slope.
Okay. Then I will try to make a sort of pulley system. I don't have
you're going to throw the grapple up there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you get out some twine, a little bit of extra rope. You work out a system. So yeah, now you have a guide rope. So you get up the hill easily and take apart your setup and roll everything back into the bag.
Sweet.
And rest of the day is uneventful. There's some bird noise, a few rustlings in the underbrush, but no dangers. And you arrive at the river.
Oh.
And this is, at least where you are, it's pretty steep. It's about a 80-foot drop.
Oh.
Sort of a pretty steep grade. but plenty
Whoa.
of rocks that jut out, so you could easily kind of slide from one to the next.
Oh, okay.
And the river itself is maybe 35 feet wide at its narrowest.
Okay.
You're not sure how deep it is. It has been raining more than usual,
Hmm.
but the map doesn't say how deep it is.
Hmm. What does the current look like? Is there like a rip current going through, or is it calm, or?
It doesn't look like white water. Like there's rocks jutting up or whatever here and there, but it's not like crazy. I don't know what you call it, where it's like super fast, but it's hard to tell the specific currents from up here.
Mm-hmm.
Like you'll see leaves go by and stuff, but you're not quite sure.
And I'm pondering securing everything as best as I can, and then swimming across.
All right. So you work your way down to the water's edge,
Mm-hmm.
and you see some deep ranger marks on one of the stones.
Ooh.
And you consult your little cheat book because they change sometimes. And
Mm-hmm.
it's sort of a fork, a two-tined fork pointing northwest inside a diamond, or up and to the left, which you think means there is a hidden raft farther up the river.
Oh, even better. I will, if the little book says that there's a raft, then I will walk to the raft.
Okay, you walk along the edge of the
Trying
river.
to swim in all of this poncho and boots and bag and no, let raft good.
Yeah, absolutely. So give me a, I guess, athletics check to work your way along the edge of the river without falling in.
Another 5.
And you can go super slow and make this easier.
I will go super slow.
Okay, so you rolled a 5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, there's a couple points where you start to stumble and almost think you're going to fall in, and you manage to right yourself, and all this scree goes down and fills that part of the river, and there's all these, like, splashies going all over the place.
Sure.
Splashies. You see fish like crest it and go back under, but these are weird local fish with like tentacle mouths and stuff.
Still looks like good eating.
They're okay. You got to be careful. It's sort of like fugu, you got to work around the poison glands.
Yeah.
Everything in this jungle has poison.
It's like Australia. Everything is out to kill you.
Yeah. So, yeah, you work your way up and you find, sure enough, a sort of artificially built cave with a sort of a curtain covered with rock dust and like a hook place to tie it up. And so you pull it up, and behind it, there's this maybe 4-person raft with tiller and oars, but also a pole and rope to tie it off. And yeah, so it looks like you could go under its own power, but it also has a pole in the center with a ring where you could put a cable through and sort of do it that way, so there'd be less threat of tumbling down the river, but you don't see the cable.
Oh.
So it may have broken or something, but you're not sure.
Can I re-facilitate with my rope?
Sure, yeah. You look for the mounting on the far wall, and you realize that the cable has been ingeniously slotted down a groove and into the floor, and then goes down into some blocks. And so you think it's set up so that they can lower the cable to hide its appearance from whoever else.
Oh.
But there's a crank that you can twist that brings it up.
Sweet. I will bring it up.
Cool. So you bring that bad boy up, and then you connect the thing to the thing. There's a little bracket that clicks in place. And now it is ready to go. And it's getting close to dusk, and the wind is picking up, and it's starting to rain. And you see the far side is getting all like muddy and gross.
I will put up camp at the most convenient spot that I can.
I mean, in this little alcove where the raft is sitting, there's like a log you can sit on and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. You're camping. Let's see what
Pop up my
happens
tent.
next.
Try to make something resembling a fire.
All right. This is fun. Okay. So you get awoken in the middle of the night by what sounds like a far-off wolf howling with a little bit of a coyote yip yip afterwards, as if they're talking to each other. And there are no coyotes or wolves on this planet.
Oh.
So
Rangers?
it's got to be either someone's drones, because the Skull Jaguars dress up their robots as local animals so they can kind of sneak through the underbrush. You're not sure what the night fires get up to because everybody tries to avoid them.
I do not investigate, but I do make sure my sickles are within reach.
Nice.
And she will kind of be in that hypnagogic state where it's between wake and sleep. So she's like half paying attention and half I'm not moving.
Cool. So after about 20 minutes, the wolf noise comes very close and the coyote noise also close, but from the other side of your little camp, but at the top of the river's edge, top of the cliff, the ridge, whatever. So yeah, you think they're either converging on you or they're just coincidentally meeting.
Hopefully they are meeting.
Yeah, let's see if they notice.
Not meeting at my tent. Like, that would suck.
Yeah. Okay. You were a little worried that they might see the raised cable. But as best you can figure, their meeting concludes because you don't hear any other noises of that nature the rest of the time you're awake.
All right.
You wake up with the dawn, birds chirping, fish chirping, frogs barking. I don't know what they do here on this weird planet.
Okay.
And you go to lift up the tent, and a fucking bat just flies out of the deep end of the cave and goes whoosh out past your head, and you're like, ugh.
Bat.
But luckily it's just one and not a dozen. And you look out there and you could see the cable, and on the far side of the slope, on the top of the other ridge, you see a sort of like bundle of sticks with kind of red lines along the top, sort of like a fake campfire, sort of like the abstract indication of one that appeared there overnight, clearly man-made.
Which means I shouldn't have built my fire.
Your fire was out by the time you heard those noises, but yeah. Somebody, for whatever reason, put up that little construction over there.
Looks it up in the book.
Okay, you pull it out in your book, and it's nowhere in there, but there's like a handwritten section in the back where somebody drew a sort of picture of that, and then there's 3 X's below it, and he wrote, no, no, no.
Oh.
Whoever they were wrote that. So that's ominous.
That's ominous.
Yeah, and that just happens to be more or less the direction you're headed.
Checks for sickles. Re-secures bag.
Cool. Sounds good.
Takes a deep breath and braves going into the no, no, no part.
All right. You give me a, I don't know what this would be. I guess it's an earth check. This would be pretty easy because this thing's all set up.
I rolled a 4.
A 4 plus your earth of 10.
With my earth of 10.
Okay, it'll be a 14. And this is an easy task, so you only needed a 10.
Okay,
so
cool.
It takes you about 5-10 minutes to get across. And over here, there's a similar alcove that's empty. And so you roll the raft up onto the logs and affix it into place.
Sweet. I try to do it as quickly and efficiently as possible in hopes that the faster she gets out of there, the less repercussions there will be.
Okay, that sounds good. You see, instead of a log for a seat here, there's like a big metal box.
Sweet.
Like you might carry ammo in.
Does the box open?
Yeah, you pop that bad boy open, and there are a couple of flasks. There's a med kit, some dry ration bars, and a scroll tube.
Ooh. Kind of, picks up one of the flasks, smells it, hopes it's more whiskey.
Yeah, so it's sort of a cylinder, sort of like a big perfume bottle. You spin the top off and you smell it, and it does smell kind of like perfume, but with a sort of petroleum kind of smell underneath.
Might be gas.
And it's sort of a pink liquid. And the other one is kind of a pale greenish, almost transparent liquid, and it smells sort of coffee and camphor.
I put them back in the box.
Okay.
I investigate the scroll tube briefly.
Okay, yeah. So you pop the top and you open it up, and it is a plastic laminated map of the area to the west of the river.
I try my best to memorize the map.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you we'll just have you do like a history check if you're in the field to like remember specifics.
I rolled a 6.
6 plus your light of 10. Yeah. So you'll memorize most everything unless there's some tiny detail you'll have to try to recover. So yeah, you kind of work out a good route to what's called the Colony River Trail, which is sort of a larger trail that kind of goes through the jungle across the river far to the south of here, and then out east to Generation Tower number 3, which is near the Metal Squad kind of compound. So yeah, it's sort of a highway through the jungle, and you're gonna cross it at a point pretty near to the colony.
Do I want to get back on a main road, or do I want to carve out a new path? I'll take the main road. I'm big enough and I give terrible first impressions.
So the main road is far south to here. So the the path you'd crest would probably go west southwest, or like if you went due south, you could go down the river, or you could like follow the river's track down to the place where the Colony River Trail crosses the river. There's supposed to be a bridge there.
Oh.
Or you could go overland and kind of meet it at a more westerly point.
She will go as the crow flies as much as she can.
Okay, cool. So that'll take you about the weird ruins,
Okay.
the broken ground, which is sort of a place with geysers and sinkholes and craters and things, and past something called the Boneyard. You're not sure what that is.
My curiosity is not piqued.
You're just like, ho hum, just some new shit.
Here's some new shit. Take a picture, it'll last longer.
Okay. Oh, and you see there's a diagram of the best way to get up this side of the river, this side of the cliff. Great.
Yeah.
So you go north a little bit, then you climb up a few steps, and then they carved some shit into the wall at some point.
Sweet.
So yeah, you work your way north a bit. You climb a little bit. You find this sort of recessed staircase, and you eventually get to like a metal ladder that they bolted in that goes up another 20 feet, and you get to the top. And next, you see a little bit to the south, you see that fake fire construction sort of on a grassy patch above near the edge of the cliff. And a small deer trail heads west from where you are right now.
Probably at this point she's like, am I lost? I don't.
Yeah, you can either take the deer trail or a slightly larger trail if you go along the river to the south, maybe about a quarter mile.
I will, whichever is more convenient at this juncture. Like, to go south just to go north again just seems silly. So.
Okay. So you're going to have to carve your way through this deer track.
Yep.
So it'll be a little bit slower going. But you also won't have to go anywhere near that fake fire thing.
Mm-hmm. Definitely avoiding that.
You head into the jungle, and you see it kind of opens out, and you can see across the way a vine-covered sort of mound of odd mounds that you think must be the weird ruins. And you get near to the edge of this slope, and it starts falling apart beneath your feet. Give me another athletics roll.
A 4.
4 plus 10 is a 14. Okay, you are going down, and it's like that kind of shale where like it's hard to get your footing and it keeps going out from under you, and you're kind of slipping and sliding.
I will try to use my weight basically to try and like steady myself.
Okay, so you center over your center mass and you just kind of hunker down, and you're able to avoid going ass over tea kettle, and you stop. You come to a stop like right in front of this old petrified stunted tree, and a like forked branch kind of poking up under the shell would have got you right in the abdomen if you had kept going. And you're like, whew. So yeah, you managed to get down to the other side and back up into the jungle. The rain starts.
Ooh.
And it's kind of nice. It's warm out. Got that good ozone smell in your nostrils. And you manage to find the deer track again, and it crosses with a wider trail, and it goes right up into these weird mounds. And it looks like somebody's been here because they've sort of cleared a lot of the vines away from the track.
I see.
So do you want to go through the ruins? Do you want to do something else?
Through the ruins sounds fine.
All right. So you get about halfway through these ruins and you see that somebody has scrubbed moss and vines and stuff away from this sort of big rectangle. And there's this fascinating mural on the side with like bits and pieces of paint still visible, which is remarkable given that nobody's lived here for eons, for at least 1,000 years or whatever.
If I'm here, odds are very good that someone has been here before me.
Yeah. So, yeah, whoever cleared off this mural must have done it recently because it looks really clean along the edges where they cut away the vines. And you see several different pairs of boots, and they are not Vorakh-sized boot prints.
Oh. She is pondering, investigating, or just continuing on her way without fucking with anything.
Sometimes when I can't decide, I'll roll a die and be like odd evens.
Sometimes I do
or
too.
1 through 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what do you think? Would you rather investigate or keep on moving?
She's going to keep on moving.
Okay, cool. So give me a perception check. This is just your light plus your roll.
Ow! Nat 1.
Uh-oh. So if I roll an 8, 9, or 10 on my die, it's a super botch. But nope, it's just a little failure. So you miss the thing I was going to mention. And you keep moving.
Aww. Aww.
So you leave the weird ruins and you feel like a weight lift off your shoulder, almost as if like it created its own sort of fear generation. It feels like you were holding a poop the whole time you were there, and now you're just relaxed.
No.
Except not like that, more like your stomach area or your chest, So you keep moving. Oops. Oh, Jesus.
Dropping dice.
Yeah. Okay, this is great. Roll me a d10.
6.
6. Okay. Oh, man, you just beat them by 1. You get a hinky spidey sense feeling, and you feel like you're being watched.
Hands on weapon.
All right. You put your hand on your weapon, and you see some movement up ahead about 20 feet. And a very large shape, definitely Vorakh size, comes fading into view, and you can only see them because you were expecting something there because of the noise, because they have a much more sophisticated stealth cloak than you would have. And they are holding a firearm of some kind.
Pointing at me, aimed at the sky.
Yes, pointed at you.
Oh.
You're not sure if it's loaded or cocked. You can't tell if their fingers on the trigger. Just that there's a barrel type shape coming out of their cloak towards you.
She moves her cloak to show her sickle.
Nice. All right, you slide that thing aside, and the bit of rain that's making it into the jungle here is kind of just sliding off your cloak, and so like the colors around you sort of are sliding off you. And this person hunkers down a little bit, like they might be itching for a fight, but then reaches up with their offhand and pulls their hood back. And you see the craggy, acne-scarred face of a Metal Squad scavenger.
Oh.
Kind of short, stubby nose, heavy brow, and red paint all around the sides and back of their head in interesting designs. It's a woman with very strong jaw and a sort of tense, glittering gaze. It's sort of almost like a floating head in space because the rest of their cloak is still over their weapon. And she just bristles at you.
Are you hungry?
Oh, God, yes. What do you got? And she just tromps down the trail and kind of stands next to you, looking into your bag as you like, she looks like she hasn't eaten in days.
Yeah, she'll start putting together camp and sets up a fire and takes out some of the rations that the ranger had given her and kind of like splits them in half. And
okay, so as you're making the fire pit area before you start the fire, she gives you this like freaked out look, and then she points at the hole you're making and she goes, "There's enemies out here. You can't do that."
You want to eat it raw?
You got protein bars. I mean, I got some game here. You see she's got some local birds over her back, and she drops them in the dirt. But it's not safe. There's something moving out there.
And fire is going to attract attention?
Well, I mean, if they're human, yeah. Or a spider drone. Night fires have been making moves up here. I found one of their what you call it, their signs on the trail back the way I came.
Well, I'm sure there's some veggie-based stuff in here.
Okay. Yeah. You got some MREs.
Yeah. Pulls out an MRE and tosses it to her.
Cool. She twists the cap and it heats up, and then she slides open the cover and goes to town. And yeah, she is very happy.
So I'm Tina.
Hey, Tina. I'm Bachmalis.
Can I just call you Mal?
Yeah, that's fine. Most people call me Truck because I used to drive trucks.
Most people call me Tiny. You can see why.
Oh, yeah, because you're so small. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
This is about as close as funny gets out here in the jungle.
Tina has made a new friend.
She says, "You got anything to drink?"
Yeah, I got some water.
She's like, yeah, water, man. I'm sick of water. I've seen enough water out on this trip. I've seen 3 lakes, then the river, and a weird pool north of the weird ruins. Don't go inside the weird ruins, by the way.
Oh, good to know. Yeah, there were I went through and there were boots and cleared areas, and I decided not to fuck with anything, and I just kept my head down.
Well, you probably did the right thing. It's dangerous there from what I hear. Spooky noises at night.
Spooky noises indeed.
And that pool, man, something's living in that pool. Something deep and dangerous. So yeah, you have your little meal. You bullshit a bit, and she shares some of her, they call it long-range wine.
Oh, nice. Okay.
It keeps its terrible taste no matter how long it's out there.
Ah.
And yeah, it's like Mad Dog 2020. It's horrible. Grape.
But totally used to it. Like this tastes like home.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's the only way to fly. Oh, I also put a mild hallucinogenic in it that you might enjoy.
Oh. Well, I guess I'm not going anywhere tonight.
She says, well, I got to get moving. I don't want to stick around here
All right.
any longer than I have to. Plus, my girlfriend is making pork chops this weekend, I guess. I don't know. That's what her last message said. You have vats that make protein analogs. So, pork chops.
I have vats that what?
The Metal Squad has food vats. They make like vat grown protein, and they can make it taste like whatever.
Mm.
So, yeah. So Maul heads off.
Yeah, Tina is not going to invite herself. She kind of like breaks down camp and kind of fills in the hole that she dug, or at least the rocks that she had piled, and she carries on.
You're kind of trying to hide your existence here.
Yeah.
Okay, you do your best and you keep moving.
Each time she breaks camp, like she tries to leave it better condition than when she found it.
Nice. Okay, you go a little bit farther and you get to the broken ground, and sure enough, it's just like up and down mess of lava vents and geysers and sinkholes and all kinds of jazz. And you hear more animal noises that are anachronistic.
Native.
You hear like a toucan, and you hear a sort of engine revving noise, like the guy from Police Academy makes some mouth noises.
Mm-hmm.
And so you think there may be 3 or 4 of them out there. And if you go across the broken ground, you're going to be easily spotted for, a couple miles in any direction.
Definitely not going to go out into the open, but...
So you're going to head south, try to skirt the edge of it?
Yes. She's going to kind of like skirt around, but she is also going to howl like a wolf.
Oh, nice. Very cool. So give me a perform check. So it's a fire check. I don't think you have any fires. Oh, you have persuasion and intimidate.
So I guess this would be a persuasion roll.
just a fire check plus your roll. Your fire's 9, I think.
Okay. Fire is a 6.
Oh, a 6.
So that's a 12 total.
12 total. Let's see if any of these rubes see through your clever ruse. Okay. Ugh! All right. So you make that wolf noise and you slowly skirt to the south around the broken ground. And it takes you almost the whole day to circle the area. Yeah, the animals don't respond when you do the wolf thing. But as you get to the western edge of the broken ground and it gets to thick jungle again, you hear a crow noise like a caw.
She doesn't stifle the laughter. She giggle snorts and mimics the noise.
Ooh, nice.
Caw,
Okay.
indeed.
Nobody responds once again. So you want to keep moving?
Yeah. She's hardly, dawdling. Like as soon as she makes a noise, like she gets the fuck out of there.
Cool. So you cut through the thick jungle to get back to the trail. And so give me a survival check, see how quickly you can do it. That's what is that, a light? I think it's light.
And it's a 15 total.
Okay, yeah, you managed to make it through without turning an ankle or anything.
Cool.
Your machete is starting to dull, and you have to bust out the laser cutter with some big trees at one point. But you managed to make it to the boneyard.
I'm in the boneyard.
All right. So everything's covered with vines and moss and things, but there's weird shapes sort of poking out of the ground, almost like an elephant graveyard, but not so expansive, like maybe the size of a small cemetery. And it's real like foggy here, so it's pretty spooky. Sounds are muffled. And you feel a strange tingling on your arms and on the back of your neck.
Oh. And the boneyard is somewhere where I have to pass through, right?
Yeah. Again, you could cut around it probably, but it's faster to go through it.
He will go as the crow flies.
All right. Give me a perception check.
That would be a 12.
12. Not quite. Do you want to use your action point?
Why the fuck not?
Okay. Cool. So you find yourself all of a sudden start to slide down into a newly appearing sinkhole, and there's like bones poking out of the sides as you tumble in, and you manage to grab hold of a root that's sort of poking out and hold yourself into the sinkhole, like kind of settles, and you're able to crawl back out. And now you're in the middle of the boneyard, and these weird fetid smells are coming up from the ground. The soil's really thick, and instead of stones and pebbles, there's like bits of bone and like knuckle bones and shit.
She picks up one of the knuckle bones and sticks it in her pocket.
Okay, roll me a water check.
That's an 11.
Altogether?
Altogether.
Oh no. You feel this intense, weird, like roiling feeling in your bones and muscles, and your teeth chatter, and there's like that kind of feeling like if you chewed steel wool,
Mm-hmm.
and a tinny taste in the back of your throat, and like a sandpaper feeling all over. And there's this like stone in your gut kind of, and you're putting away this bone. And like the second it leaves your hand, you feel slightly better, but overall pretty gross.
She fingers the bone again.
Okay, yeah, the feeling starts to intensify and you start
Fuck
to feel a
that.
headache. You fling the bone away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's like, all I wanted was a trophy, like a little souvenir. No, no, no. Psychic damage. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
So I assume from here you want to hustle your way out of the boneyard.
Yeah,
Okay, give me an athletics check.
she is
Another earth
not
check.
gonna.
Because you're going at speed, so you're trying to avoid like roots and bones and things.
Light, you said?
This is earth.
Earth. That's an 18.
Perfect. Yeah, you jump over things and you go under like a overturned giant rib bone. And yeah, you make it to the edge without getting hurt. And it's more thick jungle, slightly less dense, so you don't have to do as much bushwhacking. And you get to a sort of clearing, and there's a gully that goes kind of east to west. That's pretty deep, but there's kind of, it says it's an easy climb down to the bottom. But if you continue west along it, it eventually connects with where you're headed, which is the Colony River Trail. Or you can cross it and get there faster.
Whatever's the fastest route she is going to take.
Okay, so you come out of the edge and you're standing over this gully and you see like roots sticking out of the sides farther down. You see a bunch of little caves where the kingfishers live, and except the weird tentacle beaked ones of this planet.
Mm-hmm.
And you see about 100 feet to your west, there is a big, thick log that crosses the gap.
Oh,
That looks like it'd be a good bridge.
I will totally use it as a bridge.
Okay, give me a combat awareness roll.
I rolled a 7, but I have it.
7 plus 10 plus 2, or is it 9? Anyway, you got plenty. You got an 18, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So you hear all this rustling in the jungle just on the other side of the gap. At least 3 people rushing through the woods towards you.
She hurries across the makeshift bridge.
Oh, they're like about to break on the other side of the log. Like they knew the log was there and they're almost to it.
Oh.
So if you don't hide, they'll see you before you could cross the bridge.
She will hide in the jungle.
Okay, cool. I'll roll a stealth roll for you so you don't know
Okay.
how good it is. I guess I don't have to because it'll be a contested roll. So yeah, why don't you roll?
Okay.
So this will just be shadow plus your roll.
That's a 14.
14?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you're hunkered behind a couple trees, down behind some shrubs, and you're squatted there. You're not sure how much of you they could see, but you have your cloak, which gives you an extra 4, so you have 18. And yeah, you see these 3 jumpsuit wearing, like scraggly ass looking people with, like, one has a homemade bow. A couple have these like homemade blow dart tubes, as if they like crashed and didn't have any gear, so they made their own. And even though they're muddy as hell and covered with scrapes and scratches, you recognize the colony jumpsuits. But you don't recognize any of these three. And they look like Lunari, who are pretty rare on this planet.
Right.
And they also are about, you think maybe about the age that's like the gap here, where like people didn't bring any kids to the planet except one person was pregnant. So there's a gap there where like you think maybe they must be off world because you don't recognize them. Like there aren't a lot of Lunari on the planet.
Right on.
How old is your character?
I'm thinking mid-20s.
Okay, so you were born after the cutoff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what to call the period where they were separated from the galactic community. Ever since that happened. So yeah, you tuck in behind these trees and you see these three Lunari come out, and one of them gets up to the log, and it's now that you realize that somebody planed the top of the log.
Oh.
So somebody could run across it without fear of slipping.
Mm-hmm.
And so even though it's raining pretty heavily, it looks like a decent bridge. And this person starts to get up on it, and then they whisper something back to their people. They say, "Once we're across, kill the bridge."
And let them.
Cool. Yeah, rain's pelting in sideways, dripping on you, filling the gully with water. And these three slowly work their way across or not slowly, they scamper across the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And the person in the back has the little bow, looking like they might shoot somebody that's following them. But you're not sure if it's an animal or someone else.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you think? How do you feel?
He's going to wait until it's clear.
Oh, no, I meant you. Cool.
Me? I'm fine.
I dig it. Good. All right. Well, I guess that's it for now.
Oh, right on.
I can't wait to onboard you with the team. That thing that happened at the end is the same thing that happened at the end of last episode. So I figured this would be a good meeting spot for you.
Cool.
But these aren't actually the adventuring team.
Right.
These are the folks they're chasing. Let's see. Usually we talk about likes and wishes. Was there anything you really liked in particular?
I liked the Ranger.
The first one? Cool. Cloud Mist.
The random characters that I bumped into were really great. It's been a while since I'd done a jungle crawl.
Yeah. Totally. It's funny, in the previous episode, they ran into 2 sinkholes. And so when I rolled the sinkhole again, I was like, oh my God, they're going to love it. Sinkholes all the way down.
Sinkholes all the way down.
I appreciated your sort of low-level paranoia and wanting to hide. That was fun. And your smoking ritual. God, it brought me back to when I used to smoke.
Yeah.
You built all these like little moments around it. And wishes, that's where you like, there's some sort of environment you'd like to see, or a type of action or story element.
I think it will be the social constructs I would like to explore a little bit, because she is trying to pull herself out of the gutter. So $100. Oh my God, that's great.
When you say social constructs, do you mean interactions with other people?
reading the book, like she comes from a society where like she's kind of spit on, right? She's a
Yeah.
bodyguard. She's a bodyguard for the kinds of people who would abuse her, basically, treat her like crap.
Gotcha.
So she's trying to go outside of the metal gang in order to explore, better things.
Yeah, there's a lot of sort of cultural mixing in this game. Like our first season, they came across this ancient village where the people kind of kept to the old ways because they'd been cut off so long.
Mm-hmm.
And this season, it's like these colonists have been cut off for 28 years. And so they've gotten a little strange.
Right.
And so them meeting these people from off world and like there's just been a lot of odd sort of bouncing off each other stuff. And now they're going to run into you, like just totally different type of person.
Yeah. And a chance to fight.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
I am very interested to see what this combat system is like.
Yeah, I was wondering if you were going to fight Bakmalis. I just invented her because of a dice roll.
It seems to be my MO lately that I play characters that would rather, make allies than to make enemies. So, like, she's like, I will cut a bitch if it comes to that, but it has to come to that.
Right.
Like,
You give them the first one. Yeah, it was almost like a Western kind of showdown for a second.
which I super enjoyed. I really liked how it kind of called back to like Kurosawa a little bit and like
Yeah. Oh
where
man,
it
I
was
love
like, here's a
Kurosawa.
gun, well, here's a knife. you know,
What do you think of this?
what do you think of this? Are you hungry?
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to get to know your character more. And
Yeah, she's going to be a blast.
yeah, I guess that'll do it for now. How do people find you on the internet?
You can Google me as Sako Tumi Voit on YouTube, or you can find me as Psycho Sako or Sako Tumi on pretty much any social media. You can Google either of those names and you'll find something that I do. I do a bazillion things. So like, and my Google results are usually pretty reliable.
Cool. And you can find us on all your favorite podcatchers. If there's one we're not on, let me know. Send me an email, shatteredworldspod@gmail.com. We're on Twitter at SWRPGpod. And Facebook. We have a Facebook group, True Heroes of Shattered Worlds RPG. We have a Discord server. So if you want to know all that information, email us or what have you. And yeah, that'll do it. Gosh, this was great. Thank you so much for playing my little game, coming by.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Yeah, this is awesome. Okay, I guess I'm out of stuff to say, so I'm just going to say goodbye. Keep it rolling. So attributes, the way we do this is you roll 6 dice and you assign them to these attributes corresponding to elements. And then I have a little thing. I don't know if it's in the book, but You add 0 if it's a kid, 1 if it's an adult, 2 if it's like a remarkable human, 3 if it's a hero, and 4 if it's a superhero. And just for fun on the show, I basically always give people +4. So
really?
that's why your stats are so big. You got 9 light,
Yep.
10. These are just your basic stats. 9, 10 wind, 10 earth.
Actually, 11. I have
yes,
11
because
in
of
wind
a perk.
because
yeah, we'll get there.
of a perk I have. Yeah.
So 10, 10, 9, 9 water, 6 fire, and 10 shadow. So this is great for a monk.
The dice
to
were
have,
kind. The dice were kind. So if I was going to have a weak spot, I would make it social.
Hell yeah. So high wind for doing cool moves.
Mm-hmm.
Earth for punching. Shadow for doing
And going earth
the
boomy.
spooky shit. So yeah, speed is 3 times wind, so that's 30. I don't do the entropy and unity thing anymore. I decided that it was good for Mass Effect, like as a computer thing, but I didn't really have any mechanical use for it.
Outside of that. So maybe it's kind of like, genre themed Uno, where there are like specialty rules depending on whether it's like Star Trek Uno or Simpsons Uno.
Oh, that's interesting.
Or, it's like a little packet that you would involve with a Mass Effect RPG, and then like for our post-apocalyptic fantasy action, like maybe there's another little packet that would be specific to the game.
I like it. That sounds good. Let's see. Vitality is at first level it's ×3, water ×3, so it started at 27. And then monks get an extra 25% of any hit points they get, so that's 52. And then you went up 2 levels. And
I put 38 for my first level vitality.
I think that included your monk boost. But yeah.
I think you're right.
Because monks get.
I thought that it included the percentage. So yeah, I think my final after leveled was 66. Am I wrong in that?
Yeah, that's right. And your wound threshold starts at 3, but you got 4.
I have a 4 because I'm a monk.
Yeah, because you're a monk.
And then another one. So it was like 3, or it was 2, and then I'm a Vorakh, and then I'm a monk.
Yes.
I think that's how the math worked out.
Yeah, it might have been because you're a Goliath. You got an extra wound threshold. I'm not sure. Action points. You kept 1 for to play in the game.
Sure did.
And perks and drawbacks. Your innate. Those are. Is that just to mark the things you get on your expression page?
Oh.
And then these 4, 5? Oh, I see. So purchased down at the bottom. You didn't purchase any?
I purchased a you mean my perks and drawbacks?
Yeah.
I have not filled them out on my character sheet yet.
Oh, okay. So you got Scrapper. Scrapper good at fighting in a bar and stuff. Battleborn, you can pick up any weapon. Dual wield, you use that to offset penalties for fighting with 2 weapons. Goliath makes you real big. And precise, that's the wind bonus you got, which increased your wind to 11.
And then my toy.
Your what?
My toy. My legendary item.
Oh, yes. And you got a legendary item. You took a couple of drawbacks. Momentum, that's the one you get as a Vorakh. That thing.
Mm-hmm. And
You're
as
basically a
a
Goron from Legend of Zelda. You
correct.
roll until you until you calm down.
And then
Uh,
poverty on top of it.
and
I'm
poverty,
having
yes.
She is climbing out from the gutter, as it were.
Yeah. Okay, so now we've got some skills picked out on a piece of paper over there. So let's start with our light skills.
I have mine scattered. Light.
Oh, did you
Disease.
organize them yet? Or should we just go whatever you have on your list?
What I have on my list for light, I have Underworld. And I think that's it.
Perception, combat awareness.
Oh, that's light too.
Yeah.
Okie dokie.
And so wind.
I've got Disarm. I've got I added more points to my dual wield, which I also get from being a monk. So I have dual wield in 3 places now. So
Yeah, I think I'm what should I do? Maybe monks just
maybe
get it for free.
monks
A-
do get it for free. And oops, sorry. And
And so
then
maybe you got like basically rank 2
and
in it.
then rank 3 maybe because I took it twice.
You took it twice. Okay, cool. Yeah, it costs 3 for each bonus
I got
rank.
the perk. I paid for the perk and then I paid for the skill.
Gotcha.
So I wanted her to not have. I basically wanted to minimize the penalty for wielding on the offhand.
Yeah, so I think you have no penalties at
Sweet.
all. Let's see. What's next in wind?
Counter, hook, and I think that was a weapon, a martial arts thing was hook.
Oh yes, melee hook. It's like you can trip somebody with a weapon
Mm-hmm.
or
And
yank something
then,
to
do
you.
you want the skills that I bought when I leveled as well?
Yeah, totally. We don't have to
Uh,
go through the
and I got resist pain,
bits
which
and
was,
bobs. That's a water.
is it?
Resist pain.
I thought
Yeah.
I put, I, okay, I put wind there. I
Oh
did not
yeah, it's
cross
a
my
water.
T. I did not cross my T. And counter, yeah.
Oh, counter. That's a melee power.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or skill rather.
Still, yeah.
What was the one before hook, but after dual wield?
Pressure point.
Pressure point. Cool. I can't wait to see
See
Tiny
them
Tina in
fight.
action. Okay. Any more wind skills?
I think that's it for wind.
Okay. What about earth?
The only earth I have is my power, which
Cool.
is to quake. I
Quake.
can do the earth thing.
Hell yeah. So water was resist pain. Anything else?
Water and recover.
Recover. Cool. And fire?
Persuade. And intimidate.
Okay.
And that is me for
Shadow.
fire.
Shadow.
Shadow. Streetwise. And I think that's the only
You don't have
shadow I
stealth?
have. I do not.
Okay. So
Come on, 8.5 feet and sneaking
yeah, you might as well just
with Quake.
show up.
I'll be the diversion.
Okay, so that's it for skills. So let's go to gear.
Oh, well, I get
You're out
gear.
here in the woods on a sort of guard the hideout job. For your patron. I don't know what you call your boss, but
Oh, my package? Is that what you mean?
it says something at the bottom here. Oh, her last gig is over, so now you're looking for a new gig.
I am now looking for a new gig.
So yeah, we'll say you're out here in the woods to meet up with a contact.
Okay.
Yeah, so this will be Deep Ranger Cloud Mist. He's got a rich trade in pelts of animals from far to the north of the continent.
Okay. Is there information on the kind of gig that they might be offering? Or their contact might be offering?
I think it has
How much
something to do with
how much information do I know?
Best you can figure it's got something to do with the night fires who have stepped up their raids in your area.
Oh.
They're the scarier gang led by a psychopathic scientist. So everybody's afraid of them. But you're tough enough to deal with them, you think?
Yeah, probably. I'm not intimidated.
Yeah, so we'll oh, gear. Yeah. What kind of melee weapon do you rock?
Sickles.
Sickles. And do you have a ranged weapon?
I do not.
Okay.
I dual wield sickles.
Cool. Clothes on your back.
Mm-hmm.
A few metal coins that are minted by the metal gang. So you kind of have your own currency amongst your group here. Because they don't really interact with the other groups much.
Gotcha.
So it's mostly a commune, but there's like, I don't know, people have their side hustles.
Sure.
That kind of thing. What else? Extra socks because it gets wet in the jungle.
Yeah. Gotta keep them
poncho.
feet dry.
Yeah, maybe poncho, you have a poncho. Okay. Do you have, do you want camouflage?
Yes.
Okay. Camos and a stealth cloak.
Camouflage stealth cloak.
The stealth cloak adds 4 to your stealth rolls.
Cool.
But it's not as effective in the rain, and it always rains here.
I wrote steak instead of stealth.
So just you and your sickles. Are
Just
there
me
any
and my siblings.
tools? Any tools you would want, like wrenches or hand
As a
saws, any
as
shovel?
a um not that she would carry with her.
Oh, you've got a bolt hole somewhere.
I also have a stack of cookies that I'm going to be snacking on.
Holy shit.
So I'm gonna try to keep that to a dull roar. If I can get the cookies out of the container.
One time we had to start late because Rachel insisted on eating chips really loudly. Hello. Whoops. Boy,